Hello and welcome to a new video series, probably. We are gonna modernize Eckhart, the Twizy. This is gonna be more of a project than anything else. I am trying to put in a multiple things into this Twizy. First of all, I'm gonna try to put in a 12-volt disconnect switch so I can turn off the Twizy completely just with one switch and only while it's turned off. So that's gonna be interesting. Then also I want to add a start-stop button for the Twizy for keyless entry, because multiple times I already forgot the key inside the Twizy and I don't want that happening again in the future. So I'm gonna use my phone as a key. That's the idea. I also did already develop and program a little script, a little tool with a Raspberry Pi Pico, a small like microcontroller thing that's gonna go in there, and which I am gonna use for authentication and all the security things, that no one can just come and take the Twizy without like having to break into it. That's the idea for now. That's gonna be enough for the first step, I would say, because we need to get to the 12-volt battery, which is somewhere down there. We need to get behind the steering wheel column, which you can see better from this side, like here, because this is gonna go and I want to change that to be different. So we need to remove the steering wheel, remove all of that. And there are some videos out there how it's done. Maybe you've seen them already if you are invested in the Twizy world, but if not, then I'm gonna show you. Maybe it's not the best description I could give you, because I'm still figuring all of this out while I'm on the go, but let's just try and do that as good as we can. Also, I don't have a camera mount right now here, so maybe I'm gonna have to build something to hold my phone up, or I'm gonna have to go and grab a mount of some sort. But for now, let's just start by dismantling the front down there to get to the 12-volt battery, so I can disconnect it, so I can put in that switch. And I just remember I forgot my cables, so I probably have to go home again and get some cables to run all the way through there. So I'm gonna update you with everything, maybe not while I'm on it, because that's gonna be maybe a bit difficult, but we'll see about that. So first, to get to the 12-volt battery, we gotta remove this piece. Those are two pins over here and on the other side. You pull them out and you can pop that thing with the license plate on it down. So just like that, you can see the 12-volt battery in there. We want to remove the negative connector because that's easier to get to. And then we're gonna run a cable from here up to somewhere behind the glove box, I think, and then back down to the battery. So we can put a switch or a relay in between that, that we will then switch from the battery itself. So we're gonna be running multiple lines up and down there to get all of that running. A quick update, as I couldn't film as my friend was here and we were working together, then it's always difficult to film. We removed the whole front, and those are some screws. You can pull off this panel, which is lying around there, just by pulling it towards you and taking it off. After that, we removed the part down there. No, we had to remove those parts here. There are some metal clips here, or metal plates, those here, you unscrew them, then you can pull off those side panels. Those are just clipped in. Those are these ones. And when you remove those, then you can unscrew the panel down here with those screws here at the side and all the way down there. And there's one from below and 3 up here. And then you can carefully pull it off, screw out the blinker bulbs, and then you're good to see the whole front. So that's that. Then I unscrewed the cables from the battery, at least one of them, as I want to put in a main switch, which is gonna go between those contacts. That's the cable that goes there normally, and my cable goes in between with a relay and a switch, so we can switch the 12 volt of the Twizy. So now the next part, then we also, almost forgot, we also remove the glove box up here, because we want to put in the switches and buttons up here in that panel. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that, because back in here, I hope you can see that. So now you're overhead, but that's okay. We get this clip, you can see there, and that's exactly where I want the switch to be, down here, because I want the start button up here. Maybe I could just remove the lock and put the button in here, but I would like the glove box to still be lockable. So those positions would be better. I'm not sure yet, but that's a problem for in an hour or so, because for now I just want to remove the airbag from the steering wheel, which is a bit hard because you have to push a latch in from back here, and by pushing in that screwdriver thing, I know it has a name, but I don't know the name right now, at least not the English one. When pushing this in, there's a latch in here that I'm pushing towards me, and then I should be able to pull that down, but it didn't, I wasn't strong enough to push that in and pull that down at the same time yet, so I'm gonna try that in just a minute again. But yeah, that's the current state of things. I'm gonna update you throughout the day when something similar like that is going on, so stay tuned for right now. Okay, with quite some force, I got the airbag out. Now that's just plugged in over here. I gotta remove that plug, and then we're good to go. Then I'm gonna unscrew the steering wheel and work towards the front to get rid of all the contactors in there and remove them, or to recontact them to my new system. Let's see how that goes. Okay, I got out the steering wheel. That was a bit of a bigger hassle because of this screw that I probably threw down here. Yeah, that's a Torx 50 millimeter Torx screw. And of course, my biggest Torx bit is 40 millimeters. So I had to use this bit-sized thing here. That worked. I had to get it loose with that tool here, and then I could put it into the electric tool and get it out there. Then I almost ripped out the airbag cable, which is great, of course, but I got it back together and it should work. Nothing looked damaged, so everything's fine. Now the next step is I also just removed this bit, which is around the keyhole down here, and I'm pretty sure that this is our security contact thingy, because there is a transponder inside the key, and you need the key for that to activate. So maybe we can relocate this thing somewhere where we can use the key as like a keyless thing. I'm not sure yet. Maybe we're just not gonna use that. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't turn on now. So we need to do something about that. Maybe we're also just gonna like short it so it doesn't need to be running. I don't know. Future me problem. I'm gonna find that out when I turn the power back on. But for that, I first need to put in my 12 volt main switch, which should go here. So yeah, maybe that's the next part. Or something to get to the main power cables down there. I'm not sure yet, but that's where we're currently standing at. With some fingers hurting, I got the gauge cluster off, and I also got all of that off. So that's quite interesting. Now we should see those down here are the main power key lock cables thing. Through here, the whole Twizy is turned on and off and in different stages. And I want to get that out of here and get that to my own controller. So let's get those cables a bit out of the way. Maybe I can pull... Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I can pull them somewhere over there into the glove box. Yes, that's working good. All right, now there is a screw in the lock. So let's unscrew the lock and see what's happening. And let's hope I don't break everything by doing that. That would be a bummer, I would say. Whew, okay, we got the lock out. The cable's still running through the mounting hole for the lock, but I'm still on it. I think we need to unscrew those screws to get the rear side of the lock removed from there, and I hope, I mean, if the lock doesn't work in the end, that's not too dramatic, I think. As long as I can, like, use the cables and turn on the contactors like that, that's still fine. So yeah, that might be a good way of doing this. With that, we might even be able to not even need that pi, because we got our, where is it? The transmitter from the key that we might use for authentication, but then you still need to remember the key, and I don't want that. We might be able to, if we had a lot more cables, to fit that somewhere around the pocket, that you have to put your keys somewhere down there, and then you can use it, but that's not so much how I'd like this to go. So let's try to still do this with the Pi Pico and my own authentication process. Right, I just disassembled the whole lock that's lying around down here. So that's a locking mechanism. By removing that, we also removed the steering wheel lock, which now is disabled, but I don't think that's a big problem, I would say. We could re-enable it by just putting this, how it is, back in, but if we don't, then it's not that bad. Then I had a look at this, and this is our main power switch right now. We gotta disassemble this thing as well, because we want to change how that all works. But what I think is going on, and I'm not completely sure about that, but that should be how it works. Whoops. Let me go to this lens that we can get a bit closer. So I would think that the yellow cable is our ready state. The orange cable is our power on. The red cable is the main plus that's connected to them. But I'm not sure what this is yet, the yellow and green cable. And I have to figure it out because, no, now I got it. The yellow-green cable is our first step power on. The yellow cable is our power ready, and the orange cable is our push forward to turn on contact. So is there a difference for me in that? I don't think so. I think these two are the same cables for my use case. I don't know if they need to be turned on in sequence or if we can just turn them on as we like at the same time. We would need to test that. But yeah, I'm gonna figure out what everything does again, and if I find out more or if I tested it, then I can tell you. All right, after a bit of research and logical thinking, I should have the correct color codes for each of those cables. Red is our main positive connector. That's always, under load or under voltage at least. Then this yellow-green is the pre-ignition that's turned on in the first position of the key. Then we get the ignition, which is not run at the same time as the yellow-green, so I need those to not run at the same time. And then we get the starter, which is pushing the key forwards and letting it go back. With that information, I can rip this apart. And that kind of worries me because if I do that, then we don't have a classic key starter anymore. We don't anyway, because that is the switch and the switch is broken apart. And I think I could rebuild it together, but let's be honest, I'm not gonna do that. So worst case, I'm gonna have some push switches here. I'm not sure if we even need the pre-ignition because I think that's basically the same thing as the ignition itself. So maybe we can just let that be a dead cable and only use ignition. We can try, at least. If it doesn't work, then we still can change it. But maybe that works, I don't know. That would be an idea. And then that's the second relay clicking. Awesome. Let me take that apart and screw that into my relays, and then we'll see how that goes. All right, some time passed, and both glove boxes are out. Also, I think the gauge cluster, I showed you that it was out. We got a switch, and it works. You can't really see it, but you can hear it. It's clicking. So this now turns on our 12 volt system down there with a relay. And it looks wild. We should improve on that still, but for now it works. It's still prototyping. We plan to improve that as soon as we know that everything works. But yeah, I got a saw for that piece to just hold down the battery and not have all that over the contact, because we got a lot of stuff around the contacts, and then we would have to unscrew everything and re-screw it, and we just don't want to do that, so we're not gonna do that. My friend just went to get some clamps to have these, or to be able to connect these to those relays, because the cables themselves are too big. There we go. They're too thick, and we need the red wire connected to both the yellow and the orange. So yeah, just getting some clamps, some connectors, and then we can connect that to the Pi and make the car smart. We left off with the glove boxes removed. Now we are here with the Pi installed and all looking pretty good. If I turn this switch on, you're gonna see there's a red light flashing. That's gonna start flashing there. There we go. Then I can simulate the Pi getting power. I'm currently having a power bank here for that. So let's turn it on. Pi should start. And now my phone should start connecting to the Pi's Wi-Fi. All right, my phone is connecting to the Wi-Fi and I should be authenticated. Yep. Turning on and ready to go. That's pretty awesome. And now I can also turn it off. And the car turns off. That switch is gonna get replaced by a way nicer looking one, but that's gonna be arriving, I think, tomorrow. So that took some time to get sent over, but we can turn it on and it automatically starts. And if I turn off the 12 volt, nothing happens because the DC to DC converter still is running from the high voltage battery and powers all the low voltage stuff. But of course we should keep that powered on. So yeah, the 12 volt battery is connected and is getting charged. We should also let this turn on as long as we are charging the Twizy, because otherwise the 12 volt battery isn't being charged while the high voltage battery is being charged, because that cuts it off completely. So my plan for now is to find a 12 volt to 5 volt adapter for USB and take that apart and put that in place. Mount that. I should turn off the Twizy so it doesn't use useless energy. Now we have a small little problem. We gotta replace this cable here. Yeah, now the switch works, because that doesn't really stay in place as it's supposed to. Also, all of that should be in some kind of box, and I should bring some tape to get that in place, but I didn't think about that and I forgot to bring some. Yeah, anyway, let's have a look in that cable chaos in here, and let's maybe take this apart. 1.5 amps, that should be enough for the Pi. Alright, so I'm gonna rip that apart, that I can only have the USB and the 12 volt wired directly to the Twizy's 12 volt system. So I decided that I don't want to hardwire the 12 volt adapter or the 5 volt adapter, the USB power adapter to the cabling, because there is no good place to hook into the 12 volt that I didn't already pick for another thing. So I just put in a multi-plug thing here, extension cord, and that's gonna be hardwired in there. Already thought about hardwiring below the glove box into the whole department thing, but I can't get this plug through there without completely dismantling it. So I don't want to do that. That's why I'm gonna go in there with the USB cord through that hole. And then I'm gonna go into the plug, and then everything's fine. The Pi gets its power as soon as the 12 volt is turned on. I also just hardwired, you might be able to see those two screws that go through the front. Those are coming out here, and you can see I scratched in a plus and a minus because those two screws are connected to the battery, which sits down here. So you can just take off basically the hood of the Twizy without having to dismantle all of the front or putting down the license plate thing, because that's a big shit. And pulling that part off is pretty easy. And then if the 12 volt dies, you can always just plug in there with two clamps and recharge it without having to disassemble the whole car. Now I'm just looking into sewing off that thing that goes over the battery, the front part, so both contacts are free, that cabling thing there fits. And then I can also screw in the relay, which is over there, which is gonna get screwed in through this hole, or with the same screw that goes through this hole. And then that should all fit pretty well, sit in place, not move too much, and hopefully not disassemble itself while we're driving. We're gonna need some testing for that, but I'm pretty positive that it should all be fixed enough and well enough in place to not disassemble itself. So yeah, I'm just sewing off this part, then we're gonna try to screw it in there, and then we'll see what's next. Okay, that's screwed in place and looks like it's pretty well fixed. I also put cable ties around here to fix that a bit more, for it to kind of avoid it to wiggle out of there, out of its place. Let's hope that does what it should. Also, there's a cable tie. Maybe I'm gonna put one around here somewhere. That's my 12 volt charging cable. But all in all, looking quite good, I would say. I don't know why that looks like it's broken off somewhere, but I don't think it is. Or maybe it is. Ooh, maybe it is. I think it is. That broke off here. Oh, damn. That was already broken away, because that wasn't connected to the front piece, because on the other side I unscrewed it, and here I didn't, because it was already free. Not that bad, because there's a connected plug, and that, or here, yeah, here there's a screw that holds it in place. It's not that bad, but interesting that that is broken away. I think 12 years of use kind of does things like that. Okay, so that works. That should work. Our 12 volt disconnect works. Now, am I gonna continue with this? I think I will, because I need to connect the cables over to there. I won't close the other side just yet, because the power button still misses, and that's not coming before tomorrow. So I can't put this in place until the power button's there. As soon as I got the power button, I can fully connect that and put that somewhere down there in its place where it's safe and sound and doesn't move too much, hopefully. And also put a lot of tape around it so it doesn't shorten anything or itself. Yeah. Alright, I would say that's enough for now. I've seen the video is getting way too long, so I'm gonna cut that here. So yeah, thank you for watching until now, and see you guys in the next part next week. Bye.